So I've been reading. I'm the Rat, and this is The Rat's Nest. Today, it's kind of a So I've Read. We are talking about Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba. I want to preface this by saying I have zero notes, and I read this about 2 months ago. So, we're winging it. Background. Episode 1 of Season 3. Yeah, Season 3 came out. Swordsmith Village. I watched it, and I was like, you know what? I kind of want to read the manga. Because I really enjoyed Episode 1. And I was like, there's some mysteries here. And I binged the manga that night. All rested the basically 100 chapters. And it wasn't terribly difficult. I'm a One Piece fan. I read up to One Piece. But it was the most manga I'd read in a while. And so now I am caught up to Demon Slayer. And I want to go ahead and apologize in advance if I get some details wrong or I forget some names. I am just going completely off of my memory. What did I think about it? Right? My opinion matters so much, obviously. I'm the Rat, right? Demon Slayer did not have a great ending. I know, it's so controversial to say that the Demon Slayer ending wasn't great. I also was not the biggest fan of the series as a whole. Right? That might be a little controversial. I don't know. I don't know what the general consensus around the manga is. I did not care for the ending. I think the ending was quite bad. But let's get into my specific thoughts on a couple of things. First, the Upper Moon. So, remembering correctly, you have Swordsmith Village, where they take out Upper 5 and Upper 4. Upper 4, that was a fun fight. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the little gimmick there. I think that was really fun. I'm going to be watching the rest of the season, and so getting to see that animated is obviously going to elevate it. I did not like Upper 5's fight, I'll be honest with you. I think that it was lame, and he went out super lame, in my opinion, after... I am a big fan of Daki and Gyutaro, and I think that their fight was awesome. I was not a fan of Upper 5. He got soloed by one, and like, look, I know that it's like, oh, he's the descendant. Oh, spoilers for Demon Slayer, by the way, all of it. He's the descendant of Kokushibo, and he's the heir of Yuichiro's line. Okay, I don't care. He should not. I don't think he should have been able to solo 5. And it's like, oh well, he got the mark. What does that even mean? We don't even know what that means. We'll get into that with the end. We don't even know what that means. I did not like the Upper 5 fight. I don't know how controversial of an opinion that is. I don't know. Maybe I'll like it more in the anime. But I liked Upper 4. And then obviously at the end of that, you have Nezuko, kind of like half become human. She's a demon. She can talk a tiniest little bit. And she can walk in the sun. And that's the biggest thing that happened this arc, right? After that, if I remember correctly, we get into the final arc. I'm pretty sure we get into the final arc after Swordsmith Village. I don't know. It's like the Palace Raid arc, right? So 4 and 5, Swordsmith Village, it's an alright enough arc. I personally enjoyed Daki and Gyutaro more. I enjoyed Pleasure District or Entertainment District. I think Entertainment District, is that the name of Season 2? I enjoyed that more than Swordsmith Village. That's probably partially anime bias. I'll have to see what I think of Swordsmith Village whenever I'm done. I wish there was more emphasis on Tanjiro's sword. That's just a series problem. I don't know, maybe I skipped over something or forgot something on that, but oh man, Swordsmith Village was fine enough. And then we get into the final arc, which is Muzan goes to the place with the guy, Demon Slayer HQ. The guy kills himself and everyone else, heavily damages Muzan. The Demon Slayers all go after him. Palace Raid arc begins. Then we get Akaza, number 2, Kokushibo, and Muzan himself. Basically, right? You have another Upper 6 in there, which is Zenitsu's only other fight in the entire series. Which is like, okay, I don't care. I've never been the biggest fan of Zenitsu's character. I'm still not. I was looking forward to his development initially, but he just kind of never developed. I was pretty disappointed in it, honestly, where after everything, even after Entertainment District, he's still, ooh, I'm goofy, yeah, oh, I'm complaining about everything, and, it was kind of annoying and, kind of old at that point. But then he gets all serious. I think if I remember correctly, it's because he learned, the other guy that I trained with my grandpa killed him and is now upper 6 or something. And then he's serious during that fight, and it's like, okay, cool. And he solos in upper 6, basically. Which is like, okay, cool. Obviously a weaker upper 6. Awesome, sweet, that's awesome. I didn't like Zenitsu's character. I thought that the writing around him was bad. Just basically having no development up until all of a sudden a switch flicks and we see him twice after that, and it's like, here's this guy that I don't think was ever alluded to before, and I just don't like it. I don't like his character. I think that he was handled poorly. In a similar vein, Inosuke, he got to do more since he helped out Kanao, the butterfly chick that Tanjiro marries, right? Look, I'm terrible with names, right? But Inosuke, he got off better, right? I don't think that he was poorly written, per se. I just wish that we got more of him. After Entertainment District, he has one more fight in the entire series. And, it's not even a solo fight, right? It's against number 2. Now, I liked him in that fight, and it was cool to be like, okay, cool, you had a mom. Here's your backstory, here, Inosuke. Oh, blink and you'll miss it. I think that was handled poorly, where it's like, here's a character. We just gotta wrap it. We just gotta wrap him up. I didn't care for that, but I don't think that it was too ham-fisted or too rushed. Just him getting a backstory, him kind of learning that, him helping defeat number 2. Okay. I'm disappointed that he was not used more, since Inosuke was one of, if not my favorite character from Demon Slayer. So yeah, a bit disappointing. I won't lie, a bit disappointing. That kind of describes a lot of my opinions on Demon Slayer. It's a bit disappointing. Some of it's a lot disappointing. I wasn't terribly happy. Inosuke is okay. He could have been used better. Right, the general ending of the story could have been better. Right, I think a lot of people can agree on that. So that's Inosuke and Zenitsu. Let's talk about the Upper Moon fights. Those are the big deals that I remember. Upper 3, Akaza. Best fight in the series? Question mark. It's either, I feel like, so I was thinking about it, right? Because it's either Akaza or Kokushibo. One of those two is the best fight in the series. Just don't at me. Just one of those two is. Akaza, I would say, is more emotionally the best fight in the series. Finally getting Akaza's backstory. He's a character that we've known about for a while. It's Tanjiro's penultimate fight, which is weird to think about, but it is. Giyu, I don't like Giyu as a character. I think he was wasted. I think he never got proper development. I don't know. Maybe I just read it too fast. But I did not care for his character. I think it was kind of boring, ultimately. But it was fine to see him here. You got Tanjiro, too. It hits an emotional climax. It's the final little power-up that Tanjiro has before he goes into Muzan. But then Muzan doesn't really require, right? It's like, oh, he's good. He's getting stronger, guys. He's more like Yoriichi, his ancestor, right? Oh, I'll get into Yoriichi. I did not. Okay. Akaza is a good fight. I think that it shows how strong he is, that he was able to be decapitated, and he was kind of like Kokushibo, where basically he was going to come back and then he gave up. Cool. He was always kind of one of those with the upper moons. I would say maybe, I liked it, right? I liked it. In my mind, I had that no upper moon would be defeated like that because, they are an upper moon at the end of the day. But I guess there's always going to be Akaza was my second favorite of the Upper Moons. I think that he was probably the most developed. Kokushibo, again, rivals him in that. Kokushibo being overall the best Upper Moon, right? I would say Kokushibo is my favorite fight in Demon Slayer. But I really enjoyed Upper 3, Akaza. That was fun. It was a good fight. Getting to see Akaza's backstory finally. Him going up against Tanjiro if he dies, right? Okay, cool. Then we have Upper 2, Doma. That's his name, Doma. It's fine. It was an okay fight, I guess. I don't really have anything against it. Oh, I mean, it introduces something that I don't like at all. But it's not a fault of the fight itself. I think that it's, okay, Shinobu comes in, Shinobu dies. And that's kind of the first sign of, okay, things are getting serious, right? Then no one else dies until the end, but we'll, you have, until Kokushibo, I guess. But you have, Shinobu comes in, sacrifices herself, and you have you have Tanjiro's wife fighting Doma. Inosuke comes in, helps her fight him. And then, they're about to die, and then Shinobu's poison starts working, the hysteria that he absorbed into himself, and he dies, right? Okay, it's a pretty inoffensive fight. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I'm pretty, I don't really have a strong opinion on it. It's not bad, not terribly good either. I think that it's interesting. The thing I don't like is the poison, but I'll get into that's not. I don't like. I like the use of the poison here. Muzan is a different case. But yeah. Okay, I don't have much to say about this fight because it's like, okay, cool. Inosuke gets a he gets a better send off than Zenitsu. Upper 2 isn't a bad place for him to end. Personally, I would have liked to see a Tanjiro, Inosuke, Zenitsu, the quote-unquote big 3 of Demon Slayer versus Upper 1. But Upper 2 is a good enough send-off for Inosuke. Cool. Right? Shinobu dies. Cool. That's my thoughts on Upper 2. We get to Upper 1, Kokushibo. I already said this. Kokushibo is probably my favorite character in Demon Slayer. Do I think that he is uber well written? No. He suffers from a lot of the same stuff that the ending of Demon Slayer suffers from, and kind of some of the similar stuff that Yoriichi suffers from as a character. I'll talk about Yoriichi. It's a bit disappointing. It's a bit disappointing. Kokushibo, his fight was awesome. Whenever that fight gets animated, that is probably going to go up as maybe one of my favorite anime fights. Just because that's insane. Yome is insane. I mean, there's some serious stakes there. Sanemi's there. To say I wish that he had killed more people. For Upper 1, just taking out one Hashida and Genya, the shotgun guy. I never really cared for his character. I don't know. That's just me being cynical with that. I was never a big fan of his character. But that was a sick fight. I will say, because at this point, right, I'm reading this, I'm like, okay, Akaza, Upper 3, killed one Hashida. Upper 2, Doma killed one Hashida because she let him. And Upper 1 has killed one Hashida. So we are at a ratio of, we have had essentially 8 Upper Moons, counting Daki and the second Upper 6. We've only lost 3 Hashidas. For how they were built up, I thought that they were going to be a bigger threat. And I guess that was also me expecting Tanjiro and Muzan to have a more direct fight, and they really didn't. But that's Muzan. I will talk about Muzan, but I think that the way Upper 1 was handled, it's still an awesome fight. You still have high stakes, even if maybe I think that he was built beat a little easily for how he was built up and just for his status. I mean, he's upper one. He's the second strongest demon, essentially. He's the brother of Yoriichi, objectively the strongest demon slayer that's ever existed. He's literally invented breathing, right? Objectively, so he's the brother of objectively the strongest person ever lived. He's a demon that can use breathing, right? Which is insane. He can use moon breathing, which is a direct spin-off of sun breathing, right, which eventually became mist breathing, and then I was like, oh well, Tanjiro uses sun breathing. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about it. I got one or two thoughts. I wish he had done more, because I really like Kokushibo. His backstory, cool enough, right? I like his backstory, even if I don't like Yoriichi as a character, which I'll get into. I don't like how he was handled, anyways. I like Kokushibo's backstory, where it's okay, oh, my brother's gifted, this, that, oh, I'm going to become a demon. Okay, cool, right? I can't remember exactly the details, and I do apologize for that. But I remember enjoying his backstory. It's a fun thing. He has a sick design. As a demon who can use breathing, that's insane. Who's been alive for centuries, that's insane. I think maybe he should have killed more than 2 people, but that's that thing. I guess that just goes to show how strong Sanemi and especially what's his face, Gyomei is. Apparently the comic consensus is that Gyomei is the strongest Hashira. Yeah, he is. Yeah, yeah, he is. But that was a sick fight, and him, straight up being able to regenerate his head, but then giving up. Okay. Right. You already pulled that card with Akaza. And so I wasn't a terribly huge fan of them pulling it with Kokushibo as well. You already pulled it with Akaza, where maybe he wasn't the worst person to ever exist, and that's okay, and I know it was different, but I don't know. I think he could have been defeated in a different way. I think that it should have been an ultimate, okay, we're about to head to Muzan. This guy's just straight up evil. It's oh, I know that all demons will have a, you're going to have your sob story, backstory, right? But it's this guy could just be straight up evil. It would be an interesting, I don't know. He could just be straight up evil. That's getting into quote unquote fixing the end of Demon Slayer. And that's not what I'm going to be talking about. But I really enjoy that. It's a sick fight. It has the potential to be one of my favorite fights in anime whenever it's animated. If it's animated, phenomenally, as Demon Slayer typically is. Kokushibo is my favorite character in Demon Slayer. Maybe that's why I think that's probably why I'm more critical of it, because it's I love this guy and I want to see more of him, and I want him to be well represented with the perceived strength that I feel he's been rightfully built up to, that kind of thing. And so that's probably why I'm a bit more critical of the upper one fight, just because I actually really like it. Now we're getting into Muzan and the proper end of the story. Muzan's not a good villain. He's not. He's not well written. He's not I guess that he's threatening, sure. Muzan isn't a good villain. I don't like him at all. I guess you could say Muzan was written, to be this kind of faceless evil. It's oh, it's the evil that you were saying you wanted. Okay, sure. Muzan could have been so much more. Muzan was my biggest disappointment with Demon Slayer. I just didn't like him. His backstory is literally that he got sick. Some random guy used this flower to cure him, and it turned him into a demon. He killed the guy, but he wanted to go into the sun. And so he's been doing stuff ever since. That's his back. That's so lame. It's so lame. That sucks. That's just, I don't like that. That's not a good backstory. I guess you could be oh, it's simple, right? It doesn't need to be it doesn't need to be complicated, but it is extremely disappointing, because it's okay, everything that's happened, what's it happened? Oh, he wants to go out in the sun. Okay, I guess so, right? And it's like, okay, well, he experimented on Nezuko to do that. It's like, okay, cool, I guess so, sure. That plot point is basically entirely dropped. We don't see Nezuko from the end of Swordsmith Village, essentially, until the end of the series. Basically, almost 100 chapters. We don't see her for almost half the series. And she's supposedly like the big cure that Muzan's working toward. I thought his backstory was boring. And he's a boring character because of it. I didn't like it at all. I'm not saying he had to have that super tragic backstory. But it's like, okay, like, I guess he's the same family as the Demon Slayer core head guy. Like, I guess it's the same disease, you know. What's the disease? It exists. It is a disease. Yeah, sure, I guess. Right? Like, okay, sure, okay, cool. But it's like, it was just a random guy took a plant, and then and we find out later in the epilogue that it's like, oh yeah, this guy was studying, Inosuke, was studying this plant that only blooms during the day. It's like, oh, that's why Muzan never found it, because it bloomed during the day. Oh, the cert does. I was like, oh my gosh, that's just, it's a disappointing origin for the demon powers. And then it's like, well, could anyone do that? Like, is it because of somehow it reacted with his disease? Like, and then it's like, oh, well, he's doing this with Nezuko. Why? Like, I don't think he ever says why Nezuko specific. Like, why can't he do it with someone else? Why does it work with Nezuko? I guess theoretically because their family passed down sun breathing. How can their family do sun breathing? That kind of, okay, let's go down the rabbit hole a little bit, right? Let me get off track a little bit. How does Tanjiro's family know sun breathing? The entire time, I'm like, oh, they're related to Yoriichi, right? This guy that was like the first demon slayer and the strongest guy. Muzan's cell, like, act afraid of him. Like, oh, obviously Muzan has some past with this guy, right? It's the implication of Muzan has some past with this guy. And, there's this mysterious figure that failed to kill him long ago. Is the only guy that's ever wounded this mysterious Muzan who showed up like twice and is like uber powerful, but also like completely confident and runs all the demons and stuff. So there's some history there. And Tanjiro has similar color hair, and Tanjiro has, he has a mark. What does that mean? It looks like his father had a mark too, so it's like passed down in the family. I see, and it's almost like a fire thing, right? Okay. And Tanjiro can use his sun breathing. That's what he can naturally use. Okay. So he's more attuned to than water. Okay. They're not related. Oh, that's the dumbest thing. That is the dumbest thing, that Tanjiro is not descended from them. Why can they use sun breathing? Gokishibo couldn't use sun breathing. He had to use moon breathing. No one could replicate Yoriichi's sun breathing, which is like the purest form. Why could this random family of farmers do that? Like I apologize profusely if I missed something. Like genuine. I am genuinely sorry if I missed the explanation of how they can. But as far as I remember, there is no explanation given as to why Tanjiro's family can just use sun breathing. I mean, like what would Yoriichi have taught them that he didn't teach other people, that he didn't teach his own brother, right? Like, how come they were able to? And it's like, okay, well, okay, right? They're able to learn sun breathing, and like maybe that's how Nezuko is able to conquer the sun. Well, like that's what I thought. I was like, okay, this is a family that's descended from the first guy, then that's why Muzan like this stuff. I don't know. I don't think it was ever said in here. I think he just randomly chose Nezuko, and it just so happened to be of the family line that this guy taught how to use sun breathing, and they could somehow know sun breathing. But even then, Nezuko can't use. She never practiced, and so it's like, okay, sure, maybe it runs in the family, maybe there's a bit of it in her blood, but they're not related to Yoriichi by blood. It's passed down by technique. And sure, Tanjiro watched the technique, and probably, maybe Nezuko did too. I can't remember that. But it's like, but then Musa just randomly chose her. Again, I apologize if I missed where it was explained that he explicitly went out of his way to had to experiment on her. It's like, okay, that makes sense. Well, then why not kill Tanjiro then? You have your experiment. Why not watch over her, keep her under your control to try this stuff? You know? Why keep Tanjiro alive? Because if you know that this family has sun breathing, which is the one thing that you're scared of, I mean, one, why wouldn't you just kill them all, right? I could see wanting to experiment on Nezuko, right? I can see that. But why would you leave Tanjiro alive? I apologize if I am forgetting or if I missed where this was explained. I genuinely apologize because it does not make sense to me. It does not make sense to me. It just, like, I don't get how they know sun breathing. I think that it's dumb that they're not related to Yoriichi. I think that Yoriichi's backstory is dumb. I don't like it. Where he's like, oh, I was always special and I was always the best. And I just kind of breathed really good. And there was one time I ran across this random guy and I cut him up real good, but I failed to kill him. Yeah. And I grew old and I died and I had a mark. And I gave other people the mark. But then they died young. But I didn't. And again, I apologize. Was the mark ever explained? Was it ever explained what that was? How did Tanjiro get it? How? Like, okay. Tanjiro lives for a while, assumedly because he has a similar constitution to Yoriichi, who originally had the mark. Where does the mark come from? Where? Where does it come from? Why did Yoriichi have it? Okay, he's the first guy to know breathing. He's naturally talented. He can see the whatever, right? Cool. Awesome. I love him, right? Cool. How does Tanjiro have it? Because he's the inheritor of the sun breathing? What is it? Is it sun breathing that makes you the mark holder? I apologize if it was explained and I'm just forgetting. Like, I don't know if it was explained. It's just I don't get it. I don't understand. Why does Tanjiro have the mark? Why is he able to give it to other people? What does it mean? Why does it make you stronger? I thought it was gonna have some type of demon powers. I apologize if I'm missing it. But I honestly I do. I don't get it. I feel like I missed like chapters where like went into depth about this stuff because it doesn't make any sense. Why does Tanjiro have the mark? I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't get it. And the whole history with Yoriichi and Muzan is just that they just met him. He's just some guy. He's just some guy. Like they just randomly happened to cross each other. The progenitor demon and the strongest swordsman to ever live just happened to cross each other. How is there fate? Is fate a thing here? Like he failed to kill, but like that was their big fight. It was Yoriichi basically diffing him, but he didn't kill him. That was the legend. That was the fight. We've been building up to this. That was the fight. I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't understand. I want to get it. Like that's the backstory. That's why Muzan's afraid of sun breathing. That. Well, and it was already like 600 years since Muzan existed. What was he doing in those 600 years? Chilling? Like how did the people survive with Muzan? I mean, was he not creating demons? Like how did people survive? How did they kill demons? Like, I mean, I guess you could kill demons without breathing, but like what was so special about Yoriichi? Why did he have the mark? Why did he able to use sun breathing? Why is Tanjiro able to? I don't know why Tanjiro is able to use sun breathing. He's some guy. He's some guy, man. I don't know. I don't know. And Musa, he just needed to find the flower, and he couldn't find the flower. Oh my gosh! And everyone's family. That was everyone's backstory. That was Kokushiba. That was Yoriichi. It was their families were. That was their backstory. Where it's like, oh, he was happy, but then his family. Then he walked in on his family dead. And you had the Mist Hashira. It's like, oh, I was happy. Then I walked in on my family dead. It's like Tanjiro's like, oh, I was happy. Then I walked in on my family dead. Stop walking in on your family dead. Stop. Why is that everyone's backstory? Why is that Yoriichi? That's his back. That's why he wanted to kill demons. I can't. Maybe he went after Muzan specifically after his family was killed. Like I can't. I apologize. I genuinely can't remember if that's why he did that. Okay, his family's dead. Cool. And then it's like, oh, it's Musa. They just happen to cross each other, and then like you almost kill. It's like that's the fight. That's the big backstory for the best demon slayer ever. He walked in on his family dead. Everyone has that backstory. Everyone has that backstory. It came free with your role in Demon Slayer. Everyone has that back. Like I don't get it. It's so disappointing. It's service. Like it works. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if I walked in on my family dead, I wouldn't be terribly happy. I get it. Like I understand. But like, it's lame. It's lame. That's, oh my gosh. It's lame. It's lame, dude. It's so lame. It's so lame. And like, what's the I don't know what oh my gosh. I don't like Jodichi as a character. I think he was badly written. Everything with Muzan is bad. The Muzan fight was so plain and boring. And oh my gosh, the poison thing was so stupid. That's so stupid. I thought we were getting something cool with Tanjiro, like combining the 12 Hinokami Kaguras into the 13th. But then it's like, oh, actually, this chick poisoned Muzan with a poison that makes him age like what is it, like 10 years every second, or like 100 years every second or something. I don't know. It's something like a year every. It's something insane like that. It's like I've aged 9,000 years, and then like it's like a poison that's like debilitating. Like where was that? Where's that been? Shouldn't that have been introduced before now? Is that what caused the mark? I don't know what caused the mark. Is that what caused it? I guess it makes sense for her to have something like that. I get it. But it's like, really? You're just gonna give him a last minute nerf? You're not gonna you're not gonna have people overcome him at his strongest? Like, you're giving him a last minute nerf? Like of something that's like, oh yeah, by the way, I got a poison that can age him a year every second, and I have a poison that can make him weaker and only be able to fight at like half strength. And I have a poison that like actively deteriorates his body, and I have a poison that like makes him gay. Like you know, I have a poison that gives him the mark. Yeah, like you're just gonna do that at the last second? I mean, at least build up to it. At least like introduce that. At least I would be like, yeah, I'm working on this. Like at least, right? Like at least, like. It just happened, and then he turns into a baby. Let's go. He turns into the baby, and people are dying. And he turns into the baby, and then like the sun comes up and he like dies. Then he possesses Tanjiro. Like sure, I guess. And Tanjiro becomes the most busted character in the series. He can withstand the sun. Why? Maybe I'm so sorry if they said that it was the sun breathing that gave Nezuko and Tanjiro the ability to beat the sun. I am so sorry if it said that somewhere. I don't remember it. I'm like sitting here actively doubting myself. Like they have to have said that somewhere. Like I just don't think they did. And it's like, how is Tanjiro the most busted character in the series now? Like Musa just like it's just like this last second thing. And then he just snaps out of it. Okay. Oh, okay. He just gave him the poison. Takes away his mark. I don't know. Gives it. It's poison that gives him the mark. Yeah. Where did the mark come from? And he's just fine. And then all the Hashidas die. And it's like, oh my gosh. That's the end? Muzan became a giant baby after a disappointing fight. And then he became Tanjiro. And then that's the end? And then Zenitsu married Nezuko. And Inosuke's descendant is all alone. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Like, okay, the epilogue's nice enough. I guess. It's fine. It's okay. Cool, I guess. Okay. Okay, I guess. It's fine. No one else can eat the flower. You eat the flower, you become God, apparently. If you know how to breathe really good. Oh my gosh. I was not a fan of Demon Slayer. Yeah, I guess you could say that I was not the biggest fan of Demon Slayer. I enjoyed parts of it. I think ultimately, though, the writing wasn't the best. It wasn't consistent. There was a ton of stuff that disappointed me. We could argue back and forth as to, you know, whether or not my expectations were in the right place, right? Maybe there are people out there that are like, hey, like, okay, like, I don't care that Yoriichi, like, he just walked on his family dead, that's his backstory. Like, I don't care that, like, oh, they just met one day randomly 600 years after Muzan became a demon, and that's when breathing was invented, and Muzan almost died. I don't care that somehow this random family that was able to do so. Again, maybe it was explained. I apologize profusely if it was explained in the manga and I just missed it or I forgot. I apologize profusely. I don't remember it. I don't remember seeing it. It's like I feel like I missed something. It's like, I mean, like, that's like a big thing. You know, maybe there are people out there that like all that stuff, and that's okay. That's I mean, good for you. Right, I can't tell you what to like or not. I mean, what you call it? I unironically enjoyed High School DxD back when I was like 13. What can I say? I was like, this is the best. This is one of the best shows ever made. The story is phenomenal. You know, I'm not exactly the king of good taste, right? I'm a One Piece fan. That's so true. No, One Piece is good. One Piece is good. You know. But I was very disappointed by it. I felt like there was a ton of plot holes and a ton of missed opportunity and a ton of just like mediocre at best, like infuriating at worst stuff in it that just I wasn't a fan of. I was not a fan of it at the end. And, you know, am I still going to watch the anime? Sure. I think my friend Kyle and I are going to be reading through Demon Slayer. And, you know, just so, you know, he can read it and I'll be rereading it so I can, you know, I can look back on it and maybe it's like, oh, well, you know, oh, you sped read it. Yeah, I mean, you know, I did, I mean, just say speed read. I mean, like, I read it. But, I mean, you know, to read it, you know, slower, kind of maybe digest it more, maybe pick up on some stuff if I missed some stuff. Again, I apologize if I did. But just to kind of have more details about stuff. But, I mean, just a lot of it was disappointing. And I had heard that the ending had to be rushed because of something with the author. I can't remember exactly what it was. And so, I mean, I don't blame her or the author at all. You know, it sucks that sometimes series have to end like that because I think Demon Slayer had a lot of potential. And just to have the ending that it had kind of sucks. It's kind of like, well, it's not like Attack on Titan's ending because, like, I loved Attack on Titan up until the last 3 chapters, and then the last 3 chapters are like I hate them. Like, that's an entirely other thing. But I mean, to have a series with so much potential, kind of have an ending like that. Now, Attack on Titan, it was like peak, and then it just dropped off so immensely at the end there with the last 3 chapters. Demon Slayer was kind of decaying. But hey, you know, whenever it's animated, people with who have seen no other shows because only Demon Slayer exists will come out and be like, that was the best ending ever. And hey, if you think that, awesome, good for you. I don't. I've explained why I don't, and I apologize if I missed anything. That's my opinion on Demon Slayer. So, if you're this far in the video, obviously there's something you liked. I don't know what it was. Maybe you're not a fan of the ending too, and you enjoyed someone yelling and actively going insane over stuff. Maybe you're a fan of the ending, and I have no clue why you stuck around this long. Hey, props, awesome. I'm happy. I'm happy you're here, bro. I'm honest. If you enjoyed this, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, leave a comment telling me how right I am, how wrong I am. I guess I said that in the wrong order. I don't know. I lost my mind a little bit. But yeah, next episode. I don't know what the next episode will be because I don't know when this is going up. I really need to take that out of my outro since I never know what the next episode is going to be. But I hope you all enjoyed this one. I hope to see you all again.